Says we're live.
It says we're live.
Lies.
Yeah. Well, today it's particularly live.
not seen it.
That's
Oh, here
interesting.
we are.
Found it?
Okay.
Ooh, that can smell us.
Oh, it looks a lot better too. There you are.
Yes, it does look better like that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. I got to get up, move around for a minute. You started, Ian. We're live.
We're a little early than normal, probably about 4 minutes. We were having YouTube issues.
Yeah.
Multiple streaming. It kept telling us there was a problem and we weren't allowed to log on. So we tried again, and apparently YouTube actually put up all of them. We just can't access them. So we're on StreamYard right now, and apparently we have a better, somebody's saying we have a better picture. I can't tell, I'm blind. Let's see here. Figured it was YouTube. Yeah, apparently it's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, or even StreamYard to feed YouTube. So
Well, apparently YouTube likes StreamYard.
Yeah.
So as a test bed, we tried this and we decided to turn it on. Since it's actually working, we're not going to turn it off because we don't want to go through that again. So I'm going to make noise for about 4 minutes until the official start time, and because Jim's out doing Jim things.
he has his routine. He has to have a cigarette before he comes back
That
in.
boy's got an OCD routine like nobody's business. For those of you following my Substack, apparently I set the cat among the pigeons. Sarah Hoyt decided to insta launch my my 2 posts on the follies of using wasp spray and or oven cleaner spray for self-defense. And boy, howdy did the pundits come out of the woodwork. Ian will now do a stand-up routine. Yes. And I'm not going to get, I told myself I will, I have friends,
You do?
yes, allegedly, who want me to do the same thing for the birdshot versus buckshot debate. I'm not going there. Don't use birdshot for self-defense. Don't. Birdshot for self-defense is dumb. And I am not going to waste brain cells writing a post about how dumb birdshot is. It just about the only way that birdshot is useful for self-defense is either contact shot or cut loads. And if you're doing cut loads, you can't run them through a tube-fed shotgun. For those of you who don't know, a cut load is, everybody knows what a shotgun shell looks like, right? Well, on the inside, you've got the powder, then you've got a wadding, the shot cup, and shot. And for a cut load, what you do is you take a knife where the wadding is, and you cut all the way around the shell, but end up half an inch where you started. So it's complete 360, but they don't touch. So it holds the front to the base. Then when you fire it, the entire thing separates. So you've got the plastic shell, you've got the birdshot, and you've got the shot cup. And it basically hits the target as one, as it's basically a homemade Glazer safety slug for 12 gauges. Does the trick quite well. Not as accurate as one might like, but when it hits, it does do the trick. It's just that since you've cut through the plastic of the shell, it doesn't feed through tubes worth a damn. Just cut the holes, eventually become better than slugs, and it becomes better than birdshot by itself. Better than slugs, it's not. And as far as room clearing, no. Instructions unclear, shotgun not pregnant. You guys ain't right. You guys ain't right. not lethal is a bad idea in any self-defense situation. I wouldn't go that far. There are cases where non-lethal for self-defense is a good idea. Bearing in mind that lethal force, which you can use deadly force against any lethal force directed your way, which is any force capable of causing death or serious bodily injury. The serious bodily injury part is the sticky bit. Serious bodily injury is defined as any force which can cause protracted loss of an organ, of the use of an organ. Or limb, or use of an organ. So if somebody's choking you out, that's deadly force. If somebody's trying to scratch your eyeballs out, if some high school girl is trying to scratch your eyeballs out, that's deadly force. Do you want to shoot the high school girl?
Actually, most of them, yeah.
No, you don't, because there's no, and I would like, this is one of the things I would really like to discuss. That advice is not smart. There is no jury anywhere, including the state of Texas, where you do not start behind the power curve shooting a high school girl. That sounds good. When you get to the grand jury, you're screwed. Do not shoot high school girls for clawing at your face. Period. You're not going to win that one. You will wind up, if you shoot a high school girl, 12 good men and true will hit you with a criminal conviction. Period. Don't do it. When's the last time I had to deal with these little airheaded? You're correct. They haven't. That doesn't matter. Does not matter. You cannot, in this area, you cannot sit in front of 12 farmers and tell them with a straight face where they'll believe it, that a 5-foot high school cheerleader had you fearing for your life or your eyes. Even though we all know that, yes, they can scratch your eyes out. They can cause loss of those organs of your eyes. That is serious bodily injury, therefore deadly force. Don't do it. You cannot win that one. All right. It is now 12 o'clock.
No. Are you done with your rant?
Bad self-defense advice sets me off enough. If you would like to keep, apparently it's going to rain. So if you would like to keep the roof over our heads, donate here.
And the squirrels out.
And well, squirrels out. King Harv's coffee. It keeps me from stabbing people.
Really?
Sometimes.
Usually nobody's been, you haven't seen anybody stabbed yet, have you? All
Well,
right.
No, but you're good at hiding the bodies.
Yeah, well, there's that. If you like smartass t-shirts, tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves tees. He's got over 100 of them. There's bound to be one you enjoy. Let him know you heard about it from us. John and Jim is now up.
I am moving slowly because my back is killing me and I'm off pain meds and I'm grumpy. And we got weather changes.
And
So-
nobody's able to tell the difference.
Shut. Kermit says, we've got farmers' daughters. There's cheerleaders around here. 5'9", 180 pounds, shoulders broader than the boys.
Yeah, and it's still not going to make a difference.
Yeah. There are so many problems going on today. And I think we all recognize that. One of the bigger problems is the lack of parental control, especially over females. And the fact that the Hispanic, especially the Hispanic females, are known for fighting.
There are several ethnic groups in this area where the females are known for fighting.
Yeah. It's a Stadler, Waldorf, the Dakota show.
And again,
thank you, Nancy.
it still doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're right. The one thing you never want to try to do is break up two females fighting,
He's not lying there.
because what you'll end up with is both of them turning on you.
Same if you try and break up a couple fighting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a severely damaged shoulder from trying to break up a married couple.
Yeah.
The best way I have found to break up two girls, high school girls fighting, is a fire extinguisher sized can of pepper spray. And you hose both of them with the entire can, walk back to the car, put it in the trunk, smoke a cigarette, and then come back and see if things are sorted out.
Obviously, you can't walk away. Well, if you're not law enforcement, you should walk away. But most of us, being gentlemen, will not walk away.
Don't get involved.
But the last thing you want to do is get involved,
Mm-mm.
because that's not going to end well for you. Because the parents will get involved eventually.
They'll sue your butt.
Now, it's worse with teenage females, but if you're talking teenage boys, you also get in trouble for interfering in that.
The parents will get involved. Sanford's correct. It's if it's kids, the parents are getting involved, and they'll sue. Doesn't matter. There could be 4 different videos conclusively proving that those two, the two fighting,
Yeah.
are guilty as homemade sin and need to get broken up. You'll still get sued.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, when it comes to kids, again, with the jury, you start behind the power curve.
Yep. And Rick brings up a good point. The actual fighters don't turn on you; their posses will.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is, if it's a teenage male, let's make him 17, so he's still a minor.
16. 17 is not minor in Texas.
In the rest of the country, 17.
Yeah.
Okay. He is 6'8", 350 pounds of weightlifting meathead.
Yeah.
And he goes to hit you, and you defend yourself. I'm not talking about using a weapon. I'm talking about you punch it,
Yeah.
or you even catch him and throw him down, anything like that.
Mhm.
The odds are you're going to wind up in lots of trouble over it.
Yep.
Not because you've done anything wrong, but because he's a minor. And hitting a minor in most areas,
Oh, not just hitting. One of the worst jams I got into as a deputy was a kid, 15-year-old, big ass 15-year-old kid, decided to take a swing at me. He was calling 911 and breathing heavy, and saying crude and lewd things to the dispatcher. I showed up, told him to get the car out, take him to his parents. Have his parents sorted out. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
He told me he wasn't going to do it. I told him get in the car, and he took a swing at me. Well, I'm a judo guy. I Seonagi'd him, and it wasn't hard, but he hit the ground.
Yeah.
6 months of depositions later, the Texas Association of Counties finally settled with the parents.
Yeah.
Over a completely justified use of force.
Yep.
but if they're a minor, it's
Yep.
not justified.
Yeah.
Nope.
Even if you're in fear, even if you're legitimately in fear of your life, that minor with a knife has more rights than you as an adult.
Did it in front of the dash cam. He was bigger than me.
Yeah.
He's a football player. I'm not a big person, guys. I'm not a big guy. And this kid was a monster.
Yeah.
And I just wham, over he went, cuffed him up, put him in the car, took him to his parents. They sued.
Yeah.
6 months of depositions. And the Texas Association of Counties said, we're going to make it go away. I said, no, don't make it. And I didn't have a choice. Let's take it to court. And they said, Ian, you don't. I was still young and naive. No, we won't win. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kermit says, had a 15-year-old tried to throw down. Ouch. He failed badly, but I still made sure to be gentle for the cameras. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing to me. Jesse mentioned body cams. It's amazing to me that the same groups that were screaming that all police must carry a body camera at all time. You know, it's a civil rights issue. All police must wear a body cam at all times, and now they're doing it.
Yeah.
The same people are screaming it's a violation of civil rights for police to wear body cameras at all times.
Yeah. All right, let's get off that shit. YouTube came out with an email yesterday to authors. And
YouTube?
Or YouTube.
Amazon.
I'll get it right in a minute. Actually, KDP came out and sent an email to all authors that if your book pricing is under $9 for a print book, they're cutting your royalties to 50%.
As opposed to, it doesn't affect us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I already did all this yesterday.
Okay.
We don't price things in that range.
Most of us are priced over $9.99 because of the printing cost. Of course, that brings up the next question. Why is Amazon's print cost so high? If you look at the other print-on-demand companies, you'll find out Amazon is actually lower than anybody else. Draft Digital, any of the others. But the cost of paper has gone up. There is Rick Jonna sitting over on a different table, so we will echo whatever she says. I'm not going to echo that one. We have already seen in KU our royalties go down. That's happened over a year ago. We've also seen the print cost for author copies go up and the print cost for regular books go up. That was not actually unexpected. Of course, this is going to lead to a bunch of people going, oh my God, KDP and Amazon are trying to break the authors, yada, yada, yada. It's not true. Yes, we're going to lose a few pennies on the dollar. But where else are we going to be able to do what we want to do and print a book?
Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Amazon is, yes, and has been. Evelyn says, let the woman sew in peace for whatever passes for peace in the shop. Evelyn,
This squirrel's doing laps.
do you really think that badly of us? Women.
I'm on the body cam discussion. I'm going to make one quick aside. I love body cams, I do, but I wish there was a caveat. If a supervisor trolls the body cam looking for a reason to jam up the officer on administrative stuff, i.e. for talking crap about the head shed, for telling off-color jokes during lunch, and they do that. That's my only issue is if you're a supervisor and you troll looking for reasons to do disciplinary on non-public involved things, you should be fired.
Yeah. Evelyn, really.
She just knows us that well. Yeah. And yet, speaking of, she did not visit when she came through, which I'm massively upset about that.
Yeah. She could have at least warned us.
Yeah. Didn't visit when she came through.
Anyway, so Amazon and KDP are doing their thing. It's not a big deal. Yes, we know it was at the last minute. However, we were available.
We're in town. It's not that big a town.
Yeah. Other things in the news. Oh, that's a cute little baby Hummer out there.
I thought you were looking at a squirrel.
Cute little H3.
Oh, I'm thinking the little birdie.
No, we're not going there. He was a little pissed when I made the comment that it was a cute little H3. Hey Tiff.
Well, let's face it, most of the people who are buying Hummers of various sorts are doing it because, they figure their man card's a little light and they're trying to add something to it.
Do they even make Hummers anymore? I think that
The
Rancher
only Hummer
company-
they make now is an electric Hummer.
And man, is my mind going into bad jokes.
all right.
All right, that's great news. Sam's had a triple bypass and is recovered.
Yeah, apparently open chest triple bypass.
Oh,
You got if you gotta go big.
well, he definitely was not going to stay at home on that one.
No.
But cracking the chest, that's
Apparently, if the Facebook update was if I
Yeah.
read it correctly, they had to crack his chest for that one.
Which Sam are we talking?
Sam at Pecan.
Yeah.
Crystal's husband.
Okay.
Sam Gale. Yeah. Yes, Jesse. Looks like he was in a bad fight. Friend of mine had a quadruple bypass, not intentionally.
Oof.
They went in to do one and ended up doing all four of them.
That happens more often
Yeah.
than you think.
And a year later, his chest was still not all back together. They wired him back together, but the sternum was not regrowing properly. Hey, Jay Kenton. And he goes home Saturday. Yeah, that's the other thing. Hospitals are now kicking you out rather than keeping you.
Well, that's both good and bad. Quite honestly, I know I do. There are some studies that show that people heal better at home.
And you can rest. There isn't somebody poking you every hour to
Yeah.
check you. The whole bit of you could do if you stay a week in the hospital for a heart condition.
Yeah.
I did that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't sleep more than 45 minutes at a time because somebody comes in every hour and at least comes in and looks at you.
Yeah.
And if you're like a lot of us,
Yeah.
someone coming in the room bothers you.
Well, not only that, but you've got the automated blood pressure cuff, which goes off every
Yeah.
45
Oh,
minutes.
man.
And you've got an IV in the other arm,
And it hurts.
and it hurts. So you're sitting there and you really can't do anything. And I don't care what they say. Hopefully, the beds are never comfortable.
And they give you a TV. Now, that may work for most people, but for me,
Yeah.
The only thing, the TV, the idiot box is less than not entertaining because you can't find anything on it that's worth watching.
Yeah.
Which means nothing has changed in the last half century.
Yeah.
And you're too your mind isn't working well enough to read.
Yeah.
And most of the time, there's nobody there to talk to that you want to speak to.
There was one time I was in the hospital. I zigged when I should have zagged. And they had just introduced that little plastic thing that goes under you on top of the mattress that sections of it inflate.
Yeah.
So your left leg will raise, and then your right leg, and then your butt, and then just sections of it raise. And my vascular pressure was so low, they blew out every friggin' vein they could.
Yeah.
So I had an intraosseous.
Oh, that was
Um,
big.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they put instead of the top of the bone
Yeah.
in either the leg or the arm, they put it right there. So I had this tube, the plastic tube, and every time I moved, it'd go across my face.
Yeah.
It was not a healthy way to sleep.
Someone,
Evelyn, we will be very, very happy to see you in October if you can make it. Give us a little heads up. We'll do a little
We
get
may
together.
or may not be here in October. We may be in Colorado, but
Yeah, some people react badly to anesthesia. That's another sore point for a lot of people. A good gas passer is worth their weight in gold.
Well, an anesthesiologist asks or checks on your previous history of your anesthesia is worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
There's some, I don't know what it is. It's in my file that I take. There's some anesthesia, I forget which one it is, a particular drug. I wake up fighting. When I wake up, I'm fighting hard.
Yeah.
And there's another one. It's a one they don't often use. They use it for me. I wake up slow and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But there's one common. When I wake up, I'm swinging.
I do the same thing coming out of it. So does Peter.
Well,
They actually had to go find Peter's wife, Dorothy, to get her to come in and calm Peter down after his last surgery. But there are, there are enough issues going in the hospital anyway. The worst part is, if you broke your back, you were there for 10 days. That had to not be fun. The worst part is that effectively you have no privacy. You cannot get the amount of sleep you need.
the cold.
You're cold because they try to keep the temperature cold to cut down on the viruses.
My big issue, I don't know if it's the same for everybody. My issue is when I'm in a hospital, I'm usually cratered.
Yeah.
And I usually wind up with a whole bunch of nurses that don't want me to get out of bed because I'm liable to fall over because there's more blood out than in usually.
Yeah.
But I cannot whittle in the bed. I don't care if you give me the little urinal jug.
Yeah.
It's beaten into me. You don't wet the bed.
Yeah.
So I have to get out and stand. I will stand at the bedside and whittle into the jug.
Yeah.
I can't do it laying in the bed. And I will freak out nurses. I got to go to the bathroom. Well, here's your jug, sir. All right, clear the way.
Yeah.
You can't, sir. You cannot step up. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to. If you want me to whittle, I'm going to have to stand up.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or they're going to catheterize you, which is
Oh,
not
God.
And we tried not to do that ever again.
fun.
I've been catheterized more than once.
Yeah.
It ain't fun. You always get the one student nurse.
Yeah.
That forgets step 2, i.e., deflate the bulb.
Yank.
Why is it not coming? You let the air out of the bulb yet?
Yeah.
Oh, sir, I'm so sorry.
Uh,
Well, there's also the whole, I don't like people that are not really close to me touching me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having someone that I've never seen before touching me in areas that even my wife doesn't spend a lot of time touching,
Yeah.
I have the same issue, and Rita can always tell when I'm really cratered because I don't care if somebody else is giving me a sponge bath.
Yeah.
If I have to go to the hospital, one, I'm really cratered. There's massive amounts of trauma going on. Usually, I've either got chicken pox in my 30s, or stuff has gone into or through my body that should not have. And throughout the first day, if I need to be in the hospital, I don't care if strangers are touching me.
Yeah.
After about the first day, I'll do it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Sir, you're about 19 quarts short of blood. I don't care. Give me the sponge.
The being touched is, it's the reason why I can't stand drugs.
Yeah.
Come up and throw your arm around me, and I
Wanna
don't
get
know you from
handsy?
Adam.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether it's male or female.
Yep.
Touching me when we are in some sort of relationship is no.
There are many issues, and I think women have it worse than men because of the privacy aspect. As Tiff said, people coming in seeing her nude. you know, that's not comfortable for anyone,
Mm.
even if it's somebody they're in a relationship.
Whereas nudity for guys, that's one that I could walk naked down the middle of Main Street in Dallas.
Yeah. And not
And-
care.
Well, I'd care if I wasn't strapped.
Yeah.
But other than that,
And that's
I can see that. A gun belt on, and that's it.
swinging in the breeze.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is I don't mind being naked.
Yeah.
Unless there's stuff hanging out of me. If I'm the day after they took the catheter out, I didn't mind getting seen naked.
Yeah.
But while the catheter was in, I didn't want people seeing me naked.
Yeah.
And that's weird. That's a hang up of mine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, having been in the military, if you're in the military for any length of time, you have no privacy.
The first basic training shower, you lose all privacy.
Yeah.
oh, it's at least in the basic training barracks I had, they had 6 shitters.
Yeah.
2 on this wall, 2 on that wall, and 2 on the other, and you're all sitting there looking at each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get over it.
Yeah.
Either that or you don't do, and
Yeah.
a couple of days later you fall over from being super constipated.
Well, about the 3rd day of basic training, one, you got the shower, and it's an open, and there's like 12 shower nozzles, 3 on each wall, and there you go, time to shower. And then, like Jennifer said, you've got the Kazis, and it's like, damn it, hey, it's the guy next to you. Here you go, and hands you a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Rick says had common showers in 7th grade PE. Yeah, that's the other thing. Back when we were going through school, there were open showers
Mhm.
in the gyms.
Well, now that was one thing that I always found strange. Is I found out that in most cases the girls had shower stalls.
Yeah.
It was the guys that had the open bays.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't see why I never saw why there was a difference. Like the guys had open stalls,
Yeah.
why couldn't the girls?
We had this kid from Philadelphia or from Pennsylvania. Apparently, Amish, I don't know. He was kind of sheltered in basic training, and he flat would not. He would get up at 2 a.m. to go to the bathroom. And apparently, he saved up all damn day long to go to the bathroom when he couldn't do it. That lasted about a week, and then he fell out with a heat trauma. And I don't know if y'all know this, but in the military, the way you treat heat trauma is with the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Which they roll you over and they lube up a probe, and it goes up
Yep.
the 4th point of contact, and they flush you with cold saline.
Yeah.
It drops your body temperature really quick, and also it hydrates you.
And it also cleans everything out that was up there.
Yeah.
Stanford is correct. And apparently that broke the seal on his being shy, because apparently woozy and having the medic roll you over and
Yeah.
squish. He wasn't shy about letting everything hang out in the shower after that, period.
Jack Kenton says, I do not miss the cheek-to-cheek seating arrangements.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it's even worse on ship, or it was back in the day. To say that the facilities on a ship are tight is an understatement.
And I'm here to tell you that that was the best way to talk a whole bunch of 18-year-olds into actually drinking enough water.
Yeah.
And the medic, Warrant 3, crusty old Warrant 3, watching him and the glee in which the mild glee in which he did that, I drank a canteen of water every hour. I was at Fort Jackson in the summer. I drank a canteen. I did not want. That was, to the best of my knowledge, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the summer basic.
Yeah.
We didn't have any other heat casualties.
Yeah.
Just it's like, all right, guys, gather around. Like what? He had the entire platoon gather around.
Well, it's an educational process in more ways than one.
Woo! No kidding.
Including do not let yourself get in that shape.
Yeah. Well,
If
first
you
and foremost.
if you do not drink your water, I will be doing this to you in front of everybody else. I drank a canteen of water every hour we were in the field. Oh,
Stupid shit we did and still survived somehow.
I was
Are you
18,
sure?
but I could be taught. I might have had testosterone encephalopathy, but I could be taught.
We had one open urinal and one man showers on the sub. Cadillac conditions compared to surf skies. Yep, that's true.
There was anybody been on a open ocean rig, drilling rig?
Yeah.
Those are fun. What's really fun are the bathrooms on an open ocean drilling rig, the deep water drilling rig.
Depends on what level they're on.
If you're on the drill floor,
Yeah.
where all the basically the bathroom is a expanded metal grate in a shack out over the edge, and
Yeah.
you've got you basically got an open hole down with a toilet seat on it. And when you walk in, you're stepping on the grate, and you can see all the way down to the water and or sharks.
Yeah.
And then when you sit, there's nothing between your cheeks and the water except open air promises. And if you have any intestinal blockage, the first time you walk in there and you hear the water hit the bottom, you look down, it clears your intestinal blockages.
Yeah.
Period.
John says he just got back from dock. He's now semi-slingless.
Yay.
Oh, sweet.
Wear it in public as a
As a reminder. Yeah.
precaution.
Yep.
Got about 2 more months of healing. Yes, that's good news, John.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Good.
Andre says I did OBC at Fort Jackson.
If you step on a grate 300 feet above the water that's got spaces that wide,
Oh, it's an open grate.
yeah, you will not have any issues passing whatever needs to be passed.
And especially if you're afraid of heights.
No
Oh, yeah.
kidding. No kidding. Woo!
It's drilling rigs are interesting in a number of ways.
I love drilling rigs.
Sadly, some of them don't end well.
No. Well, there's a reason they get paid so well.
Yeah.
It is a danger. It is, even down in the Gulf, especially down in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, whatever you want to call it. The a drilling rig, fly in, fly out drilling rig is a dangerous occupation.
Yeah.
You know, every so many years they come out and say that the most dangerous occupation in the country is agricultural, farmers. Then
It
they-
is up there.
and you know, cops are down so far. But you know, you never hear about loggers. You never hear about deep sea fishermen. You never hear about oil rig
Yeah.
workers. And I do not think that they're so far down the list that they don't register.
Well, another one,
That you don't complain.
yeah, is you never hear about working on a flight deck on a carrier.
No. Woo! Talk about short life expectancy.
You don't pay attention, you're dead.
Yeah.
Period.
Same thing on a fly in, fly out rig out
Yeah.
in the open water.
There are reasons why some of us never had any desire to join the Navy.
Flight deck is interesting if you survive it.
Yeah, that's a big if.
Well, if you pay attention to what's going on, you will survive it.
Most of the time.
Now today, they have so much more communication than we ever had. Because back when I was doing it in the 70s, you didn't have anything but hand signals. Oh, Jeez.
right?
Sorry, I was not keeping up with the not keeping up with the chat. Yeah, Rick, that's one reason you want submarines. You were smarter than I was.
Well, that's not, exactly a high bar.
Yeah, well, that's true. There's the other thing that's interesting about the flight deck is that the flight deck is steel. So to keep it from getting slick, they paint it with non-skin,
Which doesn't really help.
which is
Doesn't
nothing more
last.
than sand and paint.
Doesn't last.
And yeah, it does not last because when you start putting jets up there that leak, and you start putting
Salt air, just period. Salt air, period.
salt air, which corrodes anything steel, and you have people dropping chains. You have the cables that we call wires that run back and forth across the deck. All of that tends to scrape off the non-skin. So about midway through the deployment, things start getting real slick. What makes it even more fun is if it happens to be raining.
Well, there's a
Now-
lot of petrochemicals involved with
Oh,
grease and oil and fuel, and it's jet fuel, carrier. It's all petrochemicals are slick through.
hydraulic fluid.
It's all slick.
Yeah.
So now you add the ever-present water, and it's a skating rink.
Just
Yeah.
not having a lot of experience with carriers. How often do they get spray over the deck?
Well, that's actually fairly easy. If you get in a high enough sea state, you're going to get blue water over the deck.
I was thinking, but then again, a carrier is so big that it might be too high, but apparently not.
It's only 95 feet to the flight deck.
Only 95 feet.
Yeah, that's higher than it used to be. Used to it was in the 60s. But you get salt spray blown up by the wind. And you're making 25, 30 knots because you want to launch the aircraft with minimum flying speed. But you don't want to torque up the catapults so high that they rip the landing gear off the airplane when they launch it. Minor problem. You go from a dead stop to flying speed in 250 feet. That's the length of the average catapult.
What's flying speed roughly?
Depends on the airplane. Could be 130, 140, 150 knots. The F4 was 172 knots across the round down. And it would launch at 150, I think 153 knots. So that's not a lot of distance to get up to speed.
No.
And everything's done by wakeboard. So when you roll into the catapult, they hold up what's called a wakeboard. And that has the gross weight of the airplane on it. Once you salute that, that's what they set the catapult at, is that weight. And that's what bangs you off the front of the boat. Now, if they misset that, things can get real interesting. You'll either get a slow shot, which means you do not have enough flying speed, or if the catapult breaks, you get a slow shot, or you get a bridle slap and it never disconnects. The other thing is there's this thing called a holeback fitting. When you are in the cat, once you've got everything arranged correctly, you drop the hook and they put this holeback fitting in there. And that is supposed to break at a specific weight. And what that does is to allow you to get into what's called tension. Once you get into tension, it will hold you there until that weight is exceeded, i.e. by the cat shot. If you are not held in tension, it'll run you down a catapult, and you won't have enough speed to get off the front of the boat. My cousin had a situation. They got a bridle slap, and they had centerline fuel tank. Well, the bridle slap set the centerline fuel tank on fire. So they went off the front of the boat, and they hadn't even made it off the front of the boat effectively. And the air boss is going, "You're on fire, you're on fire, you're on fire, eject, eject, eject." And he went, "On fire, centerline, jettison centerline drop tank." Didn't eject. That was fine. The other problem is if you do eject off the front of the boat, there's this rather large object coming at you
At speed.
at speed. Yeah. And if you're lucky, you land on the carrier deck. If you're unlucky, you land in the water adjacent to the carrier.
There's something they used to call keel hauling.
Yeah. Well, the turbulence off the carrier's passage is enough to drag you under. And there are 4 large things in the back that drive the boat called propellers.
Mm-hmm.
And they will chew you up and spit you out. Yeah, Don, you're coming up on fire season.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's that time of year. That's going to be fun. Anyway, yeah, Wile E. Coyote was a naval engineer. I got to say one thing about Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. They always showed Wile E. Coyote never catching a Roadrunner. The reality is a Roadrunner only runs at 20 miles an hour.
And a coyote hits 40.
It's 40, yeah. Duh. How many years have we gone and never thought about that fact?
Well, if you're from any place but the Southwest, you're not even sure what a Roadrunner is.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's true. Good point.
Nor in most cases, up until 20 years ago or so, were you really sure what a coyote was other than some kind of dog.
Man, those little bastards are showing up everywhere. Apparently, they're living in downtown LA these days.
Well, they always were. There was a Disney show in the 60s about this lonesome coyote that lived in the Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Disney, one of the Disney nature shows. Of course, it made the coyote out to be this sweet puppy,
Yeah.
basically.
Roadrunners own stock in Acme Corporation. Yeah.
One of the more amusing things I saw a couple of years ago. We have a crap ton of Roadrunners around here, and I like them. I do. But we were driving along looking at, I think, Buffalo Lake. We're out there.
Yeah.
And this Roadrunner was running alongside the car, just pacing us because that's what they do sometimes. And he had about a foot of snake hanging out of his beak.
Yeah.
And Reed's like, "The hell's wrong with that Roadrunner?" It's like, babe,
He's having supper.
it will probably take about a week for that foot of snake to want to get all the way down,
Yeah.
but he's not wasting the food.
And by the way, Roadrunner does not have stock in Acme Industries. If you will ever notice, it said Acme Industries, a division of, or Acme Incorporated, a division of Roadrunner Industries.
Yeah. Yeah. Nancy, you are correct. That's what people are always taught, is to get as far away from the ship, boat, small craft as they can if they have to go in the water.
And this is the reason why Law Dog didn't join the Navy.
Amen.
I didn't join the Army because I didn't want to walk to work like you guys do.
I've never been run over by a boat walking to work.
Well, my thing about it is there's no place in the world you can put me. With the exception of Antarctica, there's nobody to fight down there that I can't walk home from. Out on the water, you can't walk home.
Yeah, you can.
And you have the big ass boat you call home run over you, then grind you up with the propellers.
Well, like a tank can't do the same.
Yes, but a tank is considerably smaller than a boat, and I can take 2 steps to the left and clear a tank.
That's why they call them crunchies. Or
Squishies.
Differs joined the Air Force because she likes pillows. Yeah.
Point.
Well, you know, but the rest of us want to be in the military.
Yeah, I want a hot meal and a real bed. Yeah, agreed, Rick. Although the racks were sometimes less than
Comfy?
comfy. Yeah,
I have this issue with climbing into a bed that's been warmed up by anybody except Rita.
Yeah.
If I climb and it's already warm and sweaty and it wasn't Rita, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. I still think one of the funniest things we were running a test out in Japan. I had a reserve nuclear officer, nuclear submariner who was going to go ride a Japanese diesel. And we went down to Kure to put him on the boat. And I went down with him because I needed to meet the CO to make sure everything was going to get done. And we walked down the pier, and the CO standing pier side, and he looks up at Stan and he goes, "Oh, you big submarine small." Stan, by the way, was about 6'4".
That's eloquent. That's so eloquent.
A week later, when he came back, he stopped up to me and goes, you, I am never doing that shit again. Period. And I went, what the hell happened, Stan? He said, I couldn't fit the fucking rack. He said, I couldn't even get in the rack. They're too short. The only place I could sleep was in the con, curled around the SINS unit.
Army.
I haven't been straight. I haven't straightened out in a week.
Army never had that issue.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
saying.
When you slept in the track, sometimes it was a little
Or you climb out of the rack and you sleep across the back deck, stretched out in your fart sack.
not when it's raining sideways at about 40 miles an hour.
But the option is there.
Yeah.
I have slept under the track.
Rick says, never hot bunked. Only the junior guys had to do that. Yep. Yeah, so Son Armand nickname was Too Tall. Yeah. Anything over about 6 foot, 6'1" on a submarine's got a problem. You're going to end up with scars on your forehead and or your shins.
Johan will be all right then. He's only about 5'7",
Yeah.
5'8".
Yeah, the big thing is the knee knockers on ships. Because hatches, you have 3. Level-head Rick work 6'4", 250 pounds, and he went on boomers. Yep. Yeah, the racks in berthing were 72 inches, and I want to say they were 30 inches wide. It was a standard Navy rack. Yes, David, John David, they were the barbell class. Hatchcombings, yes. Evelyn says, DR's favorite sleeping spot in the field was the Hummer's hood. Being driver, he got the good spot. Yeah, because it was warm and it was relatively flat. Now, Kermit, Johan is not that tall. But it's an experience. Okay, I was wrong. They're 24 inches wide. Sorry. Thanks, Rick.
Whenever anybody says something was an experience, that generally means it was miserable.
And they're 18 inches between the rack and the rack above it.
Not a good place for a fat man.
No, you can't turn over. Well, you can if you can squinch your shoulders together and, figure out some way to do it.
Well, you also can't stretch.
Sir Brass says, welcome to everything I learned about the Navy from David Weber and Tom Clancy. Yeah. Their perceptions might be a little bit different than ours. There are those of us that were there. Yeah, Rick, you roll over in stages. Either that or you get in the rack and stay there. That was why a lot of the guys fought for the top rack, among other reasons. Because that way, if somebody below you was puking, they weren't puking on you.
Now, nor were they urinating on you.
No, Evelyn, they would not go caving. They've been there and done that, and they don't want to do it again.
Oh,
Yeah, pan racks in the torpedo room. Yeah, I had an E6 I took out with me on one of my rides. That son bitch ended up in the forward torpedo room and never left other than to go to chow. Because he had one of the pan racks, which is the rack on top of the torpedoes.
Oh.
Because the torpedo room's cold. So he had his sleeping bag. So he got up there and he could stretch out. And he could sleep fine. But there is no privacy. And so he would be sleeping and they'd be working around him. Which is why most of us that are ex-military, whatever service, are usually not bothered by noises. Because we are so
Unless it's
used
the
to it.
wrong noise.
Unless it's the wrong noise, yeah. Now, certain noises will bring you up out of a dead sleep, dead drunk sleep, stone cold sober. Yeah,
dogs making honking noises
Yeah.
will wake you up with a quickness.
Cats.
dogs
Cats
and
making-
cats, yes. Yeah, Evelyn reminded them too much of work. That's true. Rick, some of them, depending on which class, they are locked on the torpedo rails. And if you had to do a crossload or a reload, the rack got yanked off, regardless of whether or not it was being used at the time.
The radio breaking squelch and my call sign will get me up. I might not even be fully engaged and I will be awake and responding.
Oh God, we had a radar operator, Emax Renega, would sleep most of the flight. And he'd be monitoring the radios. But if our call sign came on for that day, daily changing call sign, he would be awake and handle whatever it was.
Yep.
None of us could ever figure out how in the hell he could sleep and remember the daily changing call sign enough to wake up.
I stopped. A lot of times, especially smaller agencies, you'll get a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And it used to be you get handy-talkie and a charger, and I would set the handy-talkie and the charger turned on, just so I could monitor radio traffic when I was off duty. And I've been awake for a while. And I was in a dead sleep, and the sheriff asked one of the evening unit something I had done. He said, "Hey, what was that? Whatever that car 6?" And I was quick awake.
Yeah.
It's like what? I learned to turn off the friggin' handy-talkie.
Yeah. Nuclear Road Warrior brings up another excellent point for Navy folks. It's the noise that's not there that will wake you up.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that's if you are sleeping on top of an APC.
Yeah.
At 40 miles an hour across country, with one arm through a strap of the camo netting, and just bouncing away.
Yeah.
The sound of the engine cutting off will wake you up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I can't sleep on an airplane, because the pitch change of the engine, instantaneous.
I don't have an issue. I go
Yeah.
right to sleep.
Yeah.
That's Rita off.
Sleeping. Oh, and the worst thing about it is the plane I will sleep on the fastest is a C-130, the noisiest one.
Yeah.
That if the motor starts up and the panels start rattling.
Yeah.
And I go to sleep.
Not only that, but the webbing seats on C-130, if they've been installed for longer than about 6 months, will give you the worst wedgie. I mean, you'll drop a ham into each square, and I can still out like a light.
The fan stopped for reactor scream. Yes, I have heard that sound, Rick. That was not a fun day.
Oh, and escaping steam.
Yeah.
That will wake you up.
Padre, why do you like being in the logistics unit? We have generators.
Cheating.
Yeah, well, you have air conditioning.
Cheating. No, I sit down in C-130, drop a ham on either side of the strap, and out like,
There was one time I could not sleep out of C-130 for the first half hour. We're loaded up the company. We've never transported by aircraft before.
Huh.
It's a C-130. Now, I'm in between AC and Boatwright. Both of them are the two biggest guys in the company. And, one's a big white German guy.
Yeah.
The other's a big black guy. And I
Yeah.
mean, big, 6'4", 6'5". And I'm sitting in between them. And it's no big deal. I've got my rifle in between my knees. I got my helmet on the rifle, and I'm ready for the engine to start so I can lay my head down and go to sleep. And the engine starts, and the body wrap.
Yeah.
And suddenly both my hands are being squashed, one on either side.
Yeah. Cedar says, I am printed on a prop plane young as a cadet, and it was never even in the military. But put me on a commercial and I sleep soundly. Yeah.
well, it's I think probably the first time I was in a C-130, I stayed awake the entire time. And then when I got off, I was awake for the next 96 hours.
Yeah.
And my subconscious figured out really quick that if you get in a C-130,
Yeah.
when you land, you're going to be awake for a minimum of 72 hours.
Yeah.
Running around like a chicken, your head cut off. And it's like, it was the old Army trick of sleep when you can. I get in it, I sit down.
And there's nothing more comfortable than a helmet on top of your rifle between your knees. Just lean forward, lay your hand out on your crossed arms. And
For us, it was getting under the Central 1 and 2 table because we had floor heaters in the P3s. So,
I was Army.
I'm getting it off because it's hiding.
oh,
I was Army. Hot and cold never bothered me any.
Yeah.
Because, well, you're going to be one or the other.
Hot bothers me.
Yeah.
Hot and stuffy. I have to have air moving across my face. Doesn't matter the temperature. I have to have air moving across my face, or I wake up gasping.
Well, I used to prefer cold weather to hot. Because if it was cold, you could always put another layer on. When it was hot, you could only take so much off. And not without getting arrested.
I just have to have air moving. If I have air moving across my face, I have a little fan, air moving, I'm okay.
now Tom says, flight was more than 6 hours. Benadryl was always my friend. See, that goes against everything that an aviator is taught. You never take any kind of medication that's going to affect your responses in flight.
Yes, but the rest of us are night aviators. We're passengers.
I was cargo.
Yeah.
That was one-way cargo.
And on that news, we've wasted another hour of your time, folks. Thank you for putting up with us today.
And bouncing around trying to find where we would actually, YouTube's being stupid.
Yeah,
Weird West is allegedly dropping tomorrow. That's the latest 53rd book. 53rd anthology from Actor Press drops tomorrow.
Yeah.
Got a really smoking cover from Sarah Clitheroe. You should probably buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom says, I'm not flying. I'm not even encouraged to get up and get the coffee. Time to sleep. Yeah. We're all different based on what we went through.
Drives Rita nuts. Flying freaks her out.
Yeah.
She loves getting there.
Yeah.
The part between taking off and landing freaks her out a little bit. And I think she takes it kind of personally that I'm asleep the entire time.
Yeah. John David, I did put your book up in the book promo yesterday. So see if that'll help you a little bit. Anyway, folks, y'all have a good weekend. Be safe. If you can't be safe, at least have fun.
Yep.
And remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
You all be safe.
We'll see you later. Bye bye.